In this lesson, we'll bring our attention to modifying the weights of the hoses at the back of the character. Let's show our joints. And I'm just going to go ahead and work on this left hose so you can get an idea of what to do on the right side. And again, we will be providing the final weighted version of this character to give you an idea of ways you can add more influence in certain areas. But what I'd like to start off by doing, no need to add keys necessarily, but just take the control for the hose and move it to the back. Okay. From there, we can focus on adding weights and look at the pulling to make sure that we're getting a nice fall off the route. So now we could start at the mid section of the hose, grabbing a few of its vertices, and if we need to, we can go to edge mode, go to edge loop utilities, and from there select our vertices. And again, we'll just apply a weighting of 0.5 to start out with. So we'll find the left hose since we're working on it, making sure we go to the right column, and we'll apply that value of 0.5. Going to the next, right click, edge loop, and then also apply 0.5 to it. And once we have just these two rows, we're now ready to just go in and work on the other areas that we can now add fall off to. So going back to the component editor, can start with the top row here. Again, select our edge loop, and then select our vertices, and then just start adding some more weight to the hose here. And if you like, you can go ahead and select the chest, and then find the hose, control click that, go to layout, and go to show selected columns. So we're just focused on the ones we need. Alright, so we'll select the hose and then increase that. So we have a nice result here. Then we could go to the next section. Again, go to its edge loop. Go to its vertices, go to the hose column and add more influence. I'll even see if I can adjust the component editor so you can see this a little bit clearly. Okay. And then that brings us to the next section. Just selecting the edge, then the edge loop, and applying more weight. And we do want to look at these adjustments that we're making in all angles, just to make sure that they're what we'd like to achieve. So we'll continue the process here for the second to last loop that we'll work with. Okay, we'll just add just a very minimal amount, not much at all. It looks like we could even add a little bit more to the one prior to it that we've worked on. Okay, so we can fix that up. And then go to the last loop here. And just add even less of influence. Alrighty, great. So if we were to just look at this, selecting the control, moving this around, you can see what type of effects we're going to be able to get. Alright, so this is really coming together. And remember, this control does rotate too, not only translate, so you can use that as well to make sure that you're maintaining volume in the hose. Now pulling this out further, we'll want to go ahead and do that and just fix areas that seem to be pinching. For example, here, you can go ahead and select its edge loop. And with that, we can bring more of this to the chest perhaps. Not too much. Okay. And now going to the loop that we've added 0.5 to, we won't want to leave our settings as they are, but we'd want to go ahead and tweak them. That 0.5 was just for an initial blocking phase of editing the envelopes of this hose. So let's go ahead and bring this a little bit more back to the chest so we can fix the volume. And we'll want to do the same thing to the row underneath. So making sure we grab the right edge for the edge loop. And we'll add a little bit more also to the chest for this. Alright, I think that'll be fine for now. So that brings us to the bottom section here. We're just about finished. This can definitely be added more to the hose control, so we'll add that. Probably not as much though, so I'll bring a little bit of that back. And then go to the next section. Make sure we grab the whole loop. And then add influence. Alrighty, so that just leaves us really to one more section here. So we'll just work on fixing this. Oh, and probably added too much there. It might not be bad to go underneath the hose and see how this looks as we add influence, and that looks pretty good actually. Okay, so once we've arrived at a decent spot, and again keep in mind that you're probably not going to bring the hose this far. Okay, this is really just to add some nice fall off as the character moves. For example, the run. This will work very nice to show that extra weight as we have this jiggle during the character's run. So we'll just move this around and even rotate it to see how it's coming together. And notice this looks actually quite nice. Great. So again, you get an idea of what you can do with the right hose from this lesson. And with that, we've actually completed our weights that we're going to add for this training. So if you need any help, any assistance on any other areas, we do have the final weights available. And what we'll do now is go ahead and stop the lesson. And by the next lesson, we'll have our character finished with his weights and all. And we'll use that character to work on our first animation.